We
Yeah.
give thanks for you to even taking the time to go ahead and accept to be on our live so early, in the rising. And we give thanks for you.
well, well, if I wasn't on this show, I'll be making Matt D's right now.
I know.
my day starts at about 7 a.m., so
I'm
it's all good.
I'm sending mine off Tuesday. I'm sending mine off Tuesday. My
All
Tuesday.
right. All right, it's all good. It's all good. I'll tell you what, I'm going to donate one to you just for having me on your show. All
Oh,
right?
that's love. Y'all see, this is building. Like, this is love. Give
Yeah.
thanks.
This
Give
building.
thanks.
This on the house from Nine Feathers. I
For
got you.
real. Give thanks. All right. So this is how it's going to work for tonight.
Mhm.
So I'm going to go ahead and have you introduce yourself, speak a little about yourself, where you started, why did you start, and if some people have questions, they will ask using the bubble on the bottom of the screen. So I'll
All
select
right.
them. And then, if anything we can take, would love to get the chance to, get some clear or some light on certain
Just
darkness
some
that they,
light.
yeah, some darkness that they may have, and that's what we come to spread is love and light,
Right, right,
you
right.
know.
Yeah, that's
So,
right.
one of my brothers, Chief Tariq, he said, the love and light is free, but the energy is what you gotta, come through and give a little donation on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's how it works. But that's also what stimulates an economy too, right?
Absolutely.
So when you invest or you put towards those things with your money or your fiat in your nation, you're actually helping to stimulate your national economy. That's a big thing, right?
Exactly. And definitely, I mean, as
Yeah.
far as like nations definitely need to have their currency, their energy going around for sure.
Mhm.
And I even have one of my brothers give thanks, Mansa Musa Ali, for joining our call. He's very big on that,
Oh,
funding the
absolutely.
nation and all of that.
Yes,
So
I know
we
that,
give
brother.
thanks. We give thanks for everyone who joined tonight. So go ahead. Yeah. Tell people, where you from? When did you start this?
All right. This is going to be, I hope it doesn't take too long. I'll try to be very brief. Um, I was born at Cahokia Territory. I don't know if you all have heard of Monk's Mound, East St. Louis, Collinsville, that whole area is called Cahokia. Also, really, even St. Louis is parts of Cahokia too, but it's just across the river on the other side, and which is called Missouri. So I used to ride my bikes around these pyramid mounds when I was a little boy, and never really knew what they were. Just was like, yeah, that's pretty cool. Let's go ride up this hill, you know. And then I started discovering that hey, it's something more to this, as I got older with all of these mounds around here and stuff like that. But I was aware of some things from talks with my aunt and also my grandfather. My grandfather, he was very in touch with his American, I would like to say American native roots, as he called himself Indian. He didn't call himself a Moor, but he was in touch with that along with his mother, who was my great grandmother. They're Choctaw, and I grew up as a little boy, just knowing that I was Aboriginal and indigenous to the land. But it wasn't until a few years ago that I realized that our true bloodline is more, right? So that's how I kind of came into the overstanding of it, and that was in a process of me going back and forth from China to America, still doing studies because I've always done studies for a very long time in many different subjects. I've always done studies in the conscious community. And coming back into this truth, I realized something that had happened when I had to be about 13 or 14 years old. And I remembered, I said, you know what? I remember this one little brother. He was telling me he was going to the Moorish Science Temple. And I was like, we was about 13 to 14 years old. Now that I have this pamphlet, this Moorish literature in my hand, I see what that was about, But it's like I came in contact with it, but I didn't know exactly what it was when I was younger. But I can reflect back on things like that now and say, you know what, I was really just primed for this. And
It's the circle
but
of
moving
life.
on,
It's the circle of life. It's the circle of
it's
life,
a
you know? It really is.
right, right. You know, you see things every day, and you may not pay too much attention to it, but then later on in your life, your mind kind of rewinds back and say, hey, you know what this is because you've ran into this before, you see? So, interesting. Well, getting on to the story about the Moorish American travel document, it was a project that I was inspired to do because I domicile abroad, and there are other Moors that are over here abroad, and I have been teaching over here. And one of the things that I noticed that we didn't have was a travel document. You know, all of us had U.S. passports or whatever passport that we had. And I said to myself, you know what, it's time for us to have our own document, you know, our own travel document.
Why?
Well, I said that because I realized that these corporate nation states, they look at your identity based on the booklet that you have in your hand, not just what comes out of your mouth. So to them, having a passport-like booklet is an official notification of nationality. That's what I was coming to realize, even here at China. So when you look in the United States of America passport for nationality, it says United States of America, right? Now, we know that United States of America isn't a bloodline. So how can I identify with being United States of America? When you look in a Chinese passport for nationality, it says Chinese. You know, all of these other passports say people except the United States. It says United States of America. You look in a Japanese passport, it says Japanese. You look in a Mexican passport, it says Mexican. Right? But when it comes to that land, United States of America. So that's a corporation, right? So it's not attaching you to your bloodline or anything. And, you know, I had this idea. I said, you know what? It came to me one day and I said, you know what? I'm going to make first of all, I'll take it back. First of all, I said, I'm going to make a Moorish passport. So I was on this whole passport kick for about a year. And I even made the first one that had Moorish passport on it. It was really flimsy piece of thing. And I asked one of my Chinese brothers over here, I say, hey, you know a printing place I can go to? I'm trying to put this thing together. And he was like, what is that? I said, I'm going to make my people a passport. He said, you're going to get people to fly with that? He still laughs about it today. Yeah, he still laughs about it because my first prototype was like, it was like two pieces of, you know, like card stock stapled together, right? So it's really comical if I show you the first prototype. And he's like, you're going to make people fly with that? I was like, yeah, it's not going to look like this. One day it's going to be a lot better, but I have an idea. And that was the start, was just, I had to look at that thing every day while I was studying. So every day I had it in my hand and I would look at it and then I would start doing some studying. And the more I studied, I found out that, you know, a passport is a war instrument and that originally passports were made for ships. So I say, that's interesting. I can't call it a passport.
That's why it says port. Like, that's why that word is, and that's why it's like, we have to pay attention to these words. Like, every word really does stand for something.
Right. Every word and every part of the word stands for something.
Facts.
And they also have numerical values too, you know, using numerology, the entire alphabet system. So, after about a year, I say, you know what? I'm not going to make a passport. I say, I got to think of another name. What am I going to call it? And after I did more study, I say, you know what? I'm just going to call it a travel document, you know, because a passport is a travel document. But then there are other travel documents that are not passports, like the ones that they give to refugees from the United Nations, right?
Mm.
So that's how I came up with the Moorish American travel document. And once I developed that name, but I said, I know my people. I said, Moorish American travel document. That's a long name. I said, I know my people. It needs to be something a little bit shorter than that. So I just comprised it together and just said, okay, Matt D. Right? I'll just call it the Matt D when I bring it out. It'll be the Matt D, Moorish American travel document. So, that's part of it. And so it came around in about when was it? June. Actually, it was like June 3rd, 2019 was when I released the first set of the Moorish American travel document. And actually, this is the first booklet that I released, is this one, right? And a lot of Moors were upset. They say, Sharif, why did you put all those Negroes in the... They say, why you put all those Negroes in your travel document? I say, these people are Moors. Even though they're undeclared Moors. So I said, I have an idea of putting those people in this booklet because the world has already accepted people like Muhammad Ali, right? So it's to say that if you can accept these people, you can accept our travel document. That was my way of kind of putting this thing together, So, Angela Davis, Che Guevara, these are still Moors. Even though they didn't call themselves Moors, we know who they are. So this was my first project was to create this particular booklet. And this brought out so many haters, the first series, that I had to come out with the second one, which was this one.
They say that if you don't have haters, you're not popping, like you're not doing anything. So I guess you were onto something for sure.
Yeah, I got, I have a lot of haters, but it's all good.
It's a part of the game. Honestly, it is
a part of the game.
Mm-hmm.
So I came out with this other model in 2020. So this one is also the Diplomat one, the blue one. This is actually mine right here. So these were the two for 2020. The texture is a little different. It's narrower. It's not as wide as this booklet, as you see here. It's a little bit narrower than the original one that I came out with. This one is wider. So there are some differences. And then I took all of the people out and I put Noble Drew Ali in it. And I just made it more plain, more of a plain booklet like this, because so many people were complaining. The haters were complaining. Other people, they love this booklet. In fact, I still have people that request this booklet, but I don't, I have like maybe 10 of them, and these are probably reserved for our future Moorish Museum.
Okay.
So if we ever have a museum in the future, the Moorish American travel document, the original one, would also be there. So I only have probably less than 10 of these left. So I won't sell them anymore. And then of course, this one has a case. It's the 2021 version.
Okay.
And I came out with the white one. And this one has all of the grand contents in it, oil paintings, the laws, treaties, Holy Quran, Circle 7, you name it. You can just go on my Instagram page and just kind of see all of the things in it. So what I wanted to do, I wanted to make, turn the Moorish American travel document into more than just a travel document, but also a study guide, so that the Moors could have their most pertinent laws that they need in one place, and they can put it in their pocket, right? And they can also take this booklet and also enter it into the court record as well, as evidence, as proof of national status, of nationality. So that's what this was about. That's why I compiled so much so much information and law into this booklet. And this one here is golden. This is the crown jewel of the Moorish nation.
Why? Because of the upgrades that you've done to it?
No, it's not just because of the upgrades that I've done to it. It's because of what it has done for people when they have been traveling abroad and what they've been doing, how they've been able to move. It's because the Mahdi has given the Moors another option, right? Another option as a form of identification that they can use to engage in commerce while still remaining private.
Correct.
Because the booklet is private, right? So I don't own it. This is your private document, but you can use it to engage in commerce with it while still remaining private. That's what this is all about. And as you see here, this new edition, there's also an estate page.
Okay.
So you can put your estate information in there.
Nice.
You know, wet autograph, wet thumbprint, you know, put your seal in there. So, you know, this is with the law, right? It's with the law. And I have it to where you can put the stamp on your ID page, so you become the postmaster of your own travel document. So it has all of the bells and whistles.
Postmaster, remember, there's people from all types of levels that are on this journey. You know, some have just beginning, some haven't even started their process, but they're just, you know, trying to see exactly how to start, where to start. So Postmaster, why is that important? What is that?
Well, there are different levels of postmasters because you have some postmasters that work for the United States Postal Office, right? You have postmaster generals. They're all under the jurisdiction of the Universal Postal Union, you see? But you can be a postmaster over your private documents or your private instrument by simply canceling out a stamp. It's just that simple. What that means is that when you say that you're the postmaster of your travel document or of your affidavits, that means that you control the routing of it. You control where it goes, right? So you take the highest authority, which is the Universal Postal Union, and you put it up under that jurisdiction because all of the corporate nation states are subject to them. That's what that means, right? And that's the power of doing that. So
that's the difference between a postal, because I saw something about that, like a post office, and then you have like the postal services, right? Something like that.
Well, you have the United States Post Office, then you have the United States Postal Service.
There you go.
The United States Post Office is de jure. So that came with the Republic. In fact, that came before even the United States of America. Before, it was a post office that was started by Benjamin Franklin, and he developed it by way of contract into what is called the United States of America today. This ties in with some of the history of France from back in, I think it started, when was it? 1754, I think it was, when the first post office was started. Right. All the way back to France. So, but the United States Postal Service is the corporate side, is a corporation. It's not de jure, right? And when you get a lot of things coming through by way of the United States Postal Service, you will see a lot of envelopes that will be stamped with metered mail, which is mail fraud, right? So, like I tell Moors, when they're trying to get you in court for bills or whatever it is, and they say, yeah, but we sent you a letter or whatever, I say, bring it to court and be like, and have them ask the question. Why did you commit mail fraud? There are no stamps on here. The Universal Postal Union says that you must use stamps. First, answer that question before we go any further. Right? You're trying to accuse me of a crime, but you committed mail fraud. Right. It's metered mail. Right? So That's why, overstanding, how to post, using the word post instead of mail is another thing too, right? Because you want to send post. That's de jure. Mail is corporate, you see? But we can say mailing location instead of address, which is de facto. Mailing location is de jure. So, just knowing the whole word game, there's a whole wordplay that's out there.
Right.
Yeah, it's very, very, very crucial for sure. Absolutely.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've seen that you pretty much, and anybody that has ordered, these actual travel documents, they're able to use them setting up, whether it's a private post, mailbox. Is that, what is the P.O. box? They've used it for
General Post.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about General Post or General Delivery, right?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
They've been able to set up, those accounts, with them, with the post office, I believe. And they've been able to travel outside of the country and come back, and it's like many people, they feel as if, they don't want certain documents. They don't want passports. They don't want this because they don't want to be under the, the corporation or whatnot. But at the same time, how are you able to do business? How are you able to do commerce? And this is how we trade, and exchange, for services or anything that we need for our livelihood, So this is a definite option for people who need to continue to have some form of identification if they're still doing business, in commerce, if they still are here in commerce.
Right. That's absolutely right. Everything is commerce. All of it is commerce. And this is what I tell, because oftentimes people would ask this question. They'll say, Sharif, can I, if I have a U.S. passport, do I have to turn my U.S. passport in before I get the MAT-D? Absolutely not. And I'm going to tell you why. See, if you are a Moor and you claim to be a Moor, and you put in nationality paperwork and this sort of thing, but you have a U.S. passport. If you carry and use a U.S. passport without having your own Moorish travel document, that is called tacit acquiescence at law, right? So that means that you just give up your rights. So if you have a passport, you should have a Moorish American travel document and present the Moorish American travel document first, right? And then if there's any issues or, or something that needs to change, then you present the passport. That way you're not in what is called tacit acquiescence at law. You put your status up first. It's on them. The ball was in their court now, you see? But there are some people and there are some haters out there that's just saying, well, we're just gonna use the U.S. passport. Well, go ahead, you can do that, but it doesn't have your nationality in there, right? And Noble Drew Ali said the Moors keep doing what? Holding on to names and principles that allude to slavery. So if you have a nationality card in your pocket and it says Moor, American Moor or Moorish American, but your passport says USA or United States of America, you're still holding on to names and principles that allude to slavery. You're supposed to have your own travel document. That's why it's here, right? Correct. It's here to give you that other option, right? Because it's like this, you have some of the Ashkenazi Jews, right? They call themselves Jews, but they're Ashkenaz. But you may not see him. You may not know that this man is an Ashkenaz. You may not know that he is part of his Judaism faith or whatever. But if he's an Ashkenaz, he may not wear a yarmulke. You may have never seen him with a yarmulke on. That doesn't mean that he doesn't have a yarmulke at home. Right? Just you see today, I'm not wearing a fez. That doesn't mean I don't have a fez at home. See, real nationals, even though you don't see them with certain things, they still have those things. You see?
True.
Right. You know,
True.
just because you don't see it, don't mean that they don't have it. You at
Right.
least or should have it in your possession.
Possession. Correct.
Right.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Now, some
Yeah.
people are, well, you said something about these travel documents where that they're private. You know, with you saying that they're private, someone asked the question about, do you have to go into court and change your name? Because on your actual, applications, you do ask, what is your new appellation? You know, so it's like, and then at the same time, you still ask, what is your straw man in it as well? You know, so with that being said, is this something, since it is a private document, is this something that you do have to go in and change your name in the court system?
No. And the reason we don't have to change our names or our change from a name to an appellation, because Moors don't have names, because name means Christian name. However, if you take your Moorish appellation and you go to the court to get it changed, your Moorish appellation becomes a name instead of an appellation.
Right.
Because name and appellation, those are two different jurisdictions. You see? So say like you have someone who is John L. He's John L. He did his nationality documents. Then he says, I'm going to go to the court and get it on the record and do a name change. Now John L. is no longer a Moorish appellation. It's a Christian name, even though it has L on it. It's a Christian name because it's part of their construct. It's part of their court. You see?
Absolutely.
This is what Moors are not understanding. They're thinking that just because it has L or Bay attached, that it's still a Moorish and it is your appellation. Not to them, because once you enter their channels, you're dealing with the Magna Carta construct. You're dealing with their jurisdiction. It becomes a Christian name, all over again.
Right.
Right. So
let me just address something right quick. You know, I like to address people at the door. You know, I'm very upfront, very blunt. So we never tell you to go and do this. We say you're able to go and change your appellate, your name, if you'd like. You can go ahead and do that if you'd like to go ahead and remove that from, the U.S. or whatever it is. But it's not something that you have to do. It's not an actual step that needs to be done for your nationality or your status, or you're building your trust, because even building your trust should be something private, so at the end of the day, we just give this. Ask of Law and Master is a source to where you can play the game however you like to play the game, because it is a game. It's chess. It's not checkers.
It's a game.
It's matrix.
Right, it's chess.
So you can jump in and out however you like, with how many, identities you want. Shoot, many of us have many personalities. So sometimes the appellations and names have to match to that. But we never go ahead and tell you. That's one thing that a lot of people need to stop to say or think, that you need a leader. You have to be your own leader. So
you have to be your own leader.
If you feel like this applies to you, if you need to go and do this, then you go ahead, but know why you're doing it. Don't just go in, okay, this person said this. Why are you not following the information?
Right. See, one of the problems is that too many people are asking too many questions instead of doing the research themselves so that they have more clarity.
Facts.
That's how they get trapped up, because they'll listen to 10 different people that have 10 different ideas, and they're like, okay, I like him better and his personality better, so I'll choose this one.
They jump in and out.
Right.
Facts.
And this stuff it's not complicated. And a lot of people think that law is complicated. Law is one of those things that is convoluted by imposters and by attorneys, right? Because all law derives from 10 law maxims. You learn the 10 law maxims, you essentially know all of the law. But what you run into is statutes and codes and these kind of things, right? That are built off of legislation. And fake legislation, de facto legislation at that. So, this stuff is really not all that complicated. It's just that the bar administration members, they try to convolute the information so that you get confused about all of this stuff, and then you end up coming to them. You see?
Right.
It's not really not that hard.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the same time, many people, the majority of people, I should say, we weren't taught
Mm-hmm.
this in school, you know. And when you go to these like foreign countries, you know, when you're foreign,
Mm-hmm.
they teach you a lot about nationality and standing on your nationality. Like they hold that heavy, you know, like you have to know your tribe, you have to know your traditions, the food that you eat, all of these things that we weren't taught this. So it's like a lot of us take the time to, it's like, okay, we're learning as well. We're going along as well. You know, and it's just like too many people are out here trying to bash somebody who's really out here like, yo, you know, in the mud, trying to get this all cleaned up and freshened up for people. So it's like, this is the purpose of having these types of conversations, because this is how this is an intellectual exchange that's going on. It doesn't always have to be monetary. It doesn't always have to be sexual. It can be just straight up an intellectual exchange between, you know, a man and a woman, or man and man, woman, you know, that these conversations have to happen. And many of us don't realize that we are the only ones that hold ourselves back because we do not believe. We're so quick to try to call something a fraud, a scam, whatever it is. You know, at the end of the day, it's like, but what did you do? You know, like, what did you go out there and do? Did you just go and say, yeah, I'm this and I'm that, but yet and still you don't have any paperwork? And from what Chief Brian told me, a lot of this, even Civil War, was really paper war. You know, a lot of documents being signed, a lot of contracts being signed. So it's like you out here just wanting to proclaim yourself as this and as that, but yet and still, where are the contracts to that?
Right. Because everything is a contract. Everything is in commerce, right? So yeah. I see what you're speaking for sure. Let's see.
Somebody's asking. We're gonna answer a few questions. You know, not all of them, but we'll try to answer as many as we can, and I'll go ahead and read them out to you.
Okay.
Let's see. All right, 1 second. Oh, here it goes. So someone asked the question as far as like, what is the process if the MATD, which is the Moorish American travel document, not accepted? Like, what if it's not accepted? Do you have something for that?
Well, here it is. Can anyone force you into contract?
Absolutely not.
Can you force anyone else into contract? No. So that's how it works. See, here's the way it works. You know, I domicile at a land at China Corporation, which is Cathay, right? Long ago, their passport wasn't accepted in many places in the world, even though they were their own government and nation state. What happened? That didn't stop Chinese from getting their own passport. That didn't stop them from holding their own document. But see, as more and more Chinese got the passport and they got more and more industry, all of the countries were compelled to accept it. If you don't contract with them, it's going to hurt our economy, right? Because they're doing so well. This is an opportunity. So the Moorish American travel document is something that is to be used to provide future incentives for other nation states. It's an incentive to have a Moor come into your country. Why? Because we're the mothers and fathers of all of civilization. And what are we bringing? We're the most talented people in the world, right? So once you have a Moor that has a true knowledge of self, what better candidate to have come into your country? Right? It should be an incentive, right? And as we develop our estates and, you know, our private trust, and we get hold of our estate and our gold, who wouldn't want us to come into their country and put money into their tourism and all of these kind of things? What tool would we use? Are we still going to use the United States passport when they already declared bankruptcy so many times, right? When carrying a U.S. passport can literally get you killed in some places in the world. Do you want to keep holding on to that, right? Some places you can't even pull out a U.S. passport without somebody really thinking about, taking you out of here. So
Listen,
it's like
France was like that. French people are not big fans of American, and all these things. Like they're really not fans of. Listen, I'll put on the Jamaican accent real quick when I'm in France. Like, no, they do not like Americans or nothing like that, at all. So you're right about that. I've experienced that.
But see, here it is. It's not that they don't like Americans. They don't like United Statesians.
Yes, there you go. That's
because they don't know what the real American is. That the American is the Al Moroccan. And like I tell people, I'm an American. I'm not an American.
But it's true.
The American is the United States citizen. They can't be American. Right. They're Americans. We the Americans.
So, okay. I have another question here. It says, Can you purchase a home, car, and get loans with MATD? Now, I know this is a newbie because if you do know about loans and all these other stuff, then you already know, the answer to this. But at the end of the day, we're definitely going to here to help, and teach people as much as we can, and then at least give you some form of guidance to where you can go in and get deep into it. So someone does ask, can you purchase a home, car, loans with an MATD, with your travel document?
Well, if they want your money bad enough, sure. It's contract, right? There's no limit to what can be done, right? When you're talking about commerce. Absolutely. Commerce is, hey, if you want what I have, then you'll accept what I have. If you don't want it, then If you don't want it, then find somebody else to buy it.
Absolutely.
But as the Moors move further and further and further and further up the plateau, people are going to be compelled to accept it, right? What else do you expect us to use? We have our own documents. So are you saying that I have to go use a foreigner's documents in order to do business with you?
Right. And that's the thing. There's many, you got to understand, like, this place here, America, is definitely a place where many foreigners come and build their generational wealth. A lot of them don't get passports from America. A lot of them don't, become a citizen, but they're still out here doing business and have multiple businesses. And I'm multimillionaires that aren't, from America. So absolutely, that's business, at the end of the day.
It's business. And it's because they're doing things collectively. They're doing things as a unit. When they approach these other nation states, they come unified. They have a certain protocol, right? They let their consuls precede them in certain communications with the various nation states, right? So when you hear Moors talking about, you don't need a consulate and consuls and stuff. Well, that's only language that these other countries understand. They don't understand dealing with someone that's just, that doesn't have any kind of commissioning to talk to them on that level. That's not what they do. They know that when it comes to dealing with treaties, when it comes to establishing business from foreign nation state to foreign nation state, that there's a certain protocol that's already etched out in stone. And guess what? Your ancestors developed it. So how dare you come to them and act like you don't know what they're talking about, right? Your ancestors are the one that set up the law in ancient times, right, on how to do some of this international exchange, because the Moors are what? The Moors, we were the old empire, right? We had lands all around this planet. So you must know, how to conduct yourself.
They left statues, they left landmarks, you know, of
Right.
where they were. You know, they may not they probably were called something, you know, different or
Right.
whatnot, you know, in those
Mm-hmm.
regions, but at the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
they left similar, you know, statues to let us
Similar
remember,
statues.
you
Mm-hmm.
know, let us remember these
Mm-hmm.
things, that even mounds, you know, you can find mounds all over, honestly, America,
Yeah.
you know,
You
and
can find
that
some here too.
everywhere, just everywhere. You can find
Mm-hmm.
everywhere, you know, whether it's
Right.
underwater, whether it's in on the land, you know, however it is, you can definitely see that, you know, what people speak on. That's why it's like you don't necessarily want to always follow people. Yes, you can follow people who are providing the information or whatnot, but even that information, you have to go yourself and go in and really like sit down with yourself and analyze and meditate and be like, wait, you know, this
Wait a
is all
minute.
connected. You know, this isn't just,
It's all
okay, it was
connected.
created by a few men that sat around in a table and were like, okay, this is what we're going to do. There was
Right.
a purpose why certain meetings of the minds came about, you know, because of the Moors, you know, so they had to do
Yeah.
that. They had to create
They
these
had to do it.
corporations. They had to, you
Mm-hmm.
know. Let me see.
Mm-hmm.
This is a question
Well,
that we have here.
I'll say with, oh,
Go
no
ahead,
problem.
go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Go ahead. Finish your statement.
What I was going to say, the Moors didn't necessarily create the corporations, but they created the empire that housed many different kingdoms and queendoms inside. You know,
Windows. Hey,
this is what we know. Well, yeah, because we're matriarchal, right?
there you go.
So,
And then the United
well,
States is the opposite of that.
right, right. So, like even here, the last dynasty here in China, they had the Empress Dowager. So she had more authority than the emperor himself. That's his mother,
Look at that.
right?
Look at
Right.
that.
So that's the highest position on the throne is the Empress Dowager.
Right.
Hmm.
That's something I'm definitely going to look into because, you know, at the end of the day, you know that's very heavy as far as like women to know history of other women, you know, in power and things like
Hmm.
that. Because at the end of the day, nations come from women, you know. So it's like
Hmm.
we have to know the other empresses and women that were out here pretty much carrying, helping build nations, carry nations, you know, create
Right.
nations or whatever the case is, along with other, you know, gods out here, emperors out here, whatever you decide to call yourself,
Hmm.
chief, whatever it may be. Sorry about that,
Right.
the call. So yeah,
Hmm.
definitely gonna look into that. Give thanks for that. All right, so this is the question here we have. It says, when traveling with the travel documents, would you book your travel accommodations with your U.S. name or your Moore appellation?
You book it with your appellation, right?
Absolutely.
Whatever you are booking your ticket with, you have to have that document, right? So if you're going to use the Moorish American travel document, you should be booking everything with your Moorish appellation. Because I've had people that have done complete flights with it and also used the MAT-D to stay in hotels. Even over in Europe, they've done it. I've stayed in hotels here at China with the MAT-D. So,
Okay.
it just depends on, it really depends on the situation too. But for the most part, you're always going to move out with your Moorish appellation if you're going to use the Moorish American travel document, right? Hmm.
Okay. Yeah,
Is
because
there another
obviously,
question?
yeah, we do. But obviously, yeah, if you are already using that document, it has
Hmm.
your picture, you know, on it, for the
Hmm.
most part. And that's another thing. You don't
Hmm.
necessarily always have to have your picture, from what I've heard and what I've read. You know, you
Hmm.
don't always have to have your actual picture on there. But that's just a whole nother story. But for the most part, if you're using this and you have, you know, your ID, they're going to request an ID. They're not going to turn you away, and you're showing them an actual ID that has your information on there. So absolutely.
Hmm.
Somebody says, what's the difference in a tribal ID with the MATD, with your travel document? What is the difference? Is there a difference between that?
Absolutely. There's a huge difference. First of all, when it comes to any form of just ID card, How can you put all of your laws and all of the things like your treaties and, you know, Article 6 on an ID card? How can you include all your national standing on an ID card? That's why the MAD-D is a booklet. Now, the tribal ID, we know what tribes are, right? Nation states deal with nation states. Nation states don't deal with tribes. Tribe, tribe is like saying tribe is like a kindred, a family, a kindred, right? That's more personal on the small end. Because like here at China Corporation, there are about 56 different tribes, right? They all recognize their tribes, but they all use Chinese national ID. So they have a national card here at China.
Okay.
Right? And on their national card, they might have on their national card, they might have what tribe they are, like Hanzu or Wei'erzu, right? These different, the Wei'erzu is like the Uyghurs, right? They may have this on their identification, their national card, but they all use the same national card. You see? So the tribal ID, when we're talking about tribe is a signal that you have your own position away from other people that are on the land. Because not all tribes do things the same way. But when you come being national, you're saying that you all have come together and connected the national principles on the land, and those are the things that you identify and agree with. So there's more power and more strength in numbers. You see?
Absolutely.
Right. So if a Chinese is dealing with you, or any foreign national for that reason, and if they were introducing themselves, they're going to introduce themselves being a Chinese national or Japanese national or Indian national. They're not going to first introduce themselves and tell you what tribe they are, right? A lot of our people, they'll even introduce themselves and tell you what religion they are before they tell you what tribe they are, what what nation they are, right? So our conditioning is just kind of switched around. It's always nation first when you're dealing with other nationals.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Because it's like you can start your own is pretty much like what I'm getting is like you can start your own tribe, and everyone, you can call it Earth, Wind, and Fire for all you care,
right.
know, and pretty much like everyone serves a purpose, so
right.
That is necessary. You definitely should always want to find your tribe, find your nationality, and stand on that, but at the same time, realize that we all do come from, a certain background, but at the same time, we're all from different regions. So we can go ahead and set up our different tribes, nationalities, and things of that nature.
Right. Absolutely. What's interesting about the word tribe is that on the land, we didn't have quote unquote tribes. We had clans. There's a difference between a tribe and a clan. You see, the women had clans, you see, because we're matrilineal, right? The tribes came in after you had some of the Mongols that came in and set up deals with the U.S. corporation around the mid-1800s, and then they start using this word tribe. But notice, tribe is like tribunal, the very place that we're trying to stay out of, the tribunal courts, right? So the Roman tribunals that our people find themselves in all the time, that's why, I don't recommend using the word tribe. I know that some people do. You can do what you want to do, but we have to understand that even the Cherokee, the Aniyanwea, which my paternal side is Cherokee, my father, they had 7 clans. There were 7 clans that were part of the Aniyanwea, right? They were a nation of 7 clans. They weren't a tribe. You see? So go back to the root of what these words mean: tribe, tribunal.
I had it confused, I guess, or had a misclarification, a misunderstanding of it or whatnot, because I always saw it as far as like, from either it was something like the clans create, then after there was like certain other tribes came about, like, there was this clan here, but then let's say they went to Georgia, let's say there was a Florida clan, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
some of those members went to, let's say, Georgia, but they're still under the same
Mm-hmm.
clan, they're still the same family, but they created like a tribe. But then it was, or something
Mm-hmm.
like that. That's how I had the perception of when I would see like clans and tribes, because I would even see it as far as like,
Mm-hmm.
like the Klansmen, and things of that
Mm-hmm.
nature. Like, they
Right.
were still a part of, let's say, I don't know, Florida, but yet they had different, like chapters or whatever the case is. So I always thought it
Right.
was something like that, as far as like,
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of like a sub, like a tribe would be something sub, subordinate to,
Mm-hmm.
let's say, something like a clan. Like a clan was, it's the whole squad, but we have a East Coast, West Coast, North, that's how I
Mm-hmm.
envisioned it. But that
Mm-hmm.
clarification was very beautiful. Thanks for that.
Yeah,
Um,
no problem. And I by no means I don't know everything, Nobles. I'm still studying too. I'm still finding out things as I go along. Just about every week or every month, I discover something different myself.
all
So
right.
I don't know everything. What I do know, I put it to use. That's the thing. You'll find that I start doing things before I start talking about it. Whereas most people start talking about it and then maybe
Mhm.
they'll do it later, right?
Right.
If I talk about it, that means that more than likely have already done it or done something with it. That's the difference with me. That's the only difference. Don't know more.
Right. Right, right, right. I mean, my grandma always told me, only a fool thinks that they know it all. Only a fool says they know it
Right,
all. So I'm very big on that, definitely.
right.
Um, and then let's see. All right, so this is the question here. Starting, so we're gonna have about like 5 more minutes or so. We
All
definitely don't want
right.
to take. I know you have a lot of MATDs to go do. Uh, so,
It's all
I know I
good.
definitely don't want to keep you here too long. But
It's
let's
all
just,
good.
let's just about five, maybe 10, but 5 minutes. And then,
Okay.
we can go ahead and build. And people definitely, he's tagged on our page. You can follow him. I'm trying to see
Mhm.
if somebody can drop his IG so I could pin it. You all
Mhm.
can start to follow him. He
Mhm. Mhm.
definitely shares his process.
Mhm.
You want to be with people,
Mhm.
or have people around you that aren't afraid to share information. You know,
Mhm.
um, at the same time, not only just share it, but are actually living it. They are
I live
out there
it.
demonstrating. That's number one.
Right.
So this
Uh-huh.
is definitely a chief who's out there demonstrating for the people,
Uh-huh.
and people are loving. People are definitely
I'm
in
not
love.
a chief, really. I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not really a chief, you know. I try to, you know, my appellation is a title enough for me, really. I mean, I know some people will call me that. I know that I have commissioning from the consulate, being a wazir, a vizier consul. But I just know that sometimes, the titles and stuff just get too far away from the people. I'm
I
just your
know,
brother
but
that's
it's
just
like
trying to
I
do
don't want to
some do
say
some work.
Mister. I'm not. I could say nine feathers. You know,
Just say,
I
yeah,
could
nine
say let me
feathers. There
say
you go, or no.
okay
That's all
or
good.
noble. There we go. Okay, I got it. But I'm sure I'm learning too. I just we definitely definitely as far as like it's everything learning, and then I like that. I like being able to call somebody a noble, or just straight up calling them by what they go by, what they resonate
Right, right,
by.
right,
So
right.
definitely
It's all
no problems. I was definitely, moving forward. But
yeah, yeah.
all right, so this is the question that we have here. Starting from the beginning, do you recommend doing a status correction first or getting a MATD?
Well, I get this question all the time, and there's no requirement to do a status correction before you get the MAT D. And the reason why is because the MAT D kind of streamlines the nationality process. Because with nationality, you can declare it, which is from your mouth, and then you can proclaim it. Well, when you have a document in your hand with your appellation on it that signifies your status, that is a proclamation that you can actually put on record, right?
So, record where? Like where would somebody put up something like this? We got to take it to the basics sometimes.
Yeah.
All right.
Seriously. Put it, first of all, the first place you should put it on record is in your own court of records. You should keep records at your own home. Now, how do you do that? You make a color copy of your MAT DID page and you send it back to yourself, certified mail, using stamps, not metered mail.
What about registered mail?
You can do it registered mail too.
Okay.
And actually registered mail is a way to register your document.
There you go.
By keeping that registered. People are like, how do I register this? Through the post office. That's how it's always done. How do I certify this? Through the post office. Right? You just have to use the stamps to do it and keep make sure that the receipt is postmarked, right? And keep the receipt. Don't open it up. Put it in a file cabinet. You have to learn to keep your own court of records, right?
That's big.
And then from there.
Listen, he's dropping gems right now, okay? So if y'all getting these gems, drop some gems in the chat. Write this down. Like, legit, this is some information that, we need. We need this.
Right. And, that's keeping your own court of records. Then the next move is to give a public notice. So many people know about the seven corporations that are on my IG page, U.S. corporations that you can actually give them notice of your status change. Now, they're never going to write you back because they're never going to rebut the claim of your nationality. They know that you're Moors. So don't be sitting up waiting on it. It's been 6 months and they haven't sent me anything back when I claim my nationality, because they're not trying to rebut it, right? If they don't rebut an affidavit, that means that it stands as fact in law. That is a law maxim. Right. So that's saying that, hey, we know that you're Moors, when they don't write back. You just want to put them on notice and notify them, which helps, which helps break down the stock market. Right. And this sort of thing. So, that's what you want to do. And actually, the MAT D itself is a court, because remember, anything with four corners is considered a court. Even like a basketball court, right? So that's why I have all of the different law documents inside of the MAT D. There's a lot of law in there because you're carrying a court with you, right? It's all about shipping, you see? It's all about shipping. It's all about mooring. So you're mooring a ship when you're carrying a MAT D. So you open it up, you got two flags in it. You also have your seal in it, like the seal that goes at the bottom of the hull of a ship so that water can't go through. Without a seal on your affidavit, your document will sink. Your document will sink like a ship sinking if you don't have a seal on it at the bottom, like the bottom of the hull of a ship. You see?
Oh, my goodness.
So when it's, for example, when the corporation, if they give you a document to fill out, a piece of paper to fill out, and it doesn't have any flags on it, that lets you know that they're pirates. Pirates never sell with flags, right?
They're incognito.
Right. They never sell with flags. They never identify themselves. That's how they get aboard your ship, is by not identifying their nation and their intention. You see?
Wow. There goes those words. There goes those words, y'all. Y'all listening to these words?
It's all about shipping. It's all about, cargo. Why is there a height and a weight on the ID page of the MAT D or any passport? It symbolizes cargo. They need to know how much cargo they're putting on the ship. You see? If the ship can carry that amount of cargo once they get everybody on the ship. All right. So all of it has to deal with the with the seas, right? So the Moors have been we've been lost at sea, so we needed the proper identification to get us away from being lost at sea, right? So the MACD is really really the proper ship. It's a ship. It's a ship that you're setting off at sea and you're docking it at various locations. You see? So if all of the Moors are on the same ship, then, you know, it helps us get to all of our destinations.
You know, I had a guest the other day, Water Priestess, and she gave a beautiful like breakdown as far as like us, you know, being in our mother's wombs and we're in water, you know, and it's like, you know, so it's like she gave a beautiful like breakdown on that, you know, and you coming in and coming in and like scooping all of that up, and those who joined us on that Mindful Mondays, I promise you, it's a reason to my madness. It's a method to my madness. Okay, like, you know, don't ever like, you know, don't give me no eyes or like, what's she doing? Why is she? It's trust and believe. It is a method, because like I said, we had a queen come through and she broke down the whole, you know, how, you know, our mothers give birth to us and they break the water. And they break the water, and then, you know, they give us these birth certificates, which are receipts, you know, as if you legit just the doctor, you know.
Doctor, so, right.
Yeah, you know, so, and then you coming in and you're just letting it, yo, I'm telling you, it's beautiful. Like, you laugh because it's funny, because it's like, wow, these people are really sick. Like, they're really sick, but it's like, it really does make sense. And this whole time, we've been the ones that have been in the dark, you know, to all of this.
In the dark.
You know, so
Absolutely.
It's like, it's so beautiful. You guys can check out that live as well with Water Priestess, and then check out this live with Nine Feathers, and you're going to see like how it all just correlates with one another. You know what I mean? And if it doesn't, if 1 + 1 does not make 2, it doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? So
it doesn't make sense.
Definitely. All right. So
that's for sure.
I'm gonna answer about 2 more questions. We have a bunch of questions, but we're not gonna get to them now. So we're gonna take 2 more questions, and then you all can definitely follow him on his page. You know, he definitely does lives. You know, whenever he has some time to go on live, and you guys can continue to ask questions with him. Definitely try out his process. You know, his website, his page is actually pinned on here. And then you have a website, or it's all through email that you do that? My
website should be releasing in the next few days. I'm just working out the kinks with that, but it's going to be MoorishAmericanTravelDocument.org, not .com, .org. MoorishAmericanTravelDocument.org. All right.
I'm putting that in.
So you'll be able to find it there. Like I said, a few days, I'm going to be making an announcement on Instagram too. And you'll be able to go there, and it'll be a simple process. No more papers. You don't need any more papers. Just click the button, type in your info, let it go.
Okay, I see you. I see you working. That's beautiful to see. You know, because even the corporation started as such. Everything was, you know, and it was those little ink, you know, you had to adapt the pen or whatnot, whatever it's called, you know, ink, and they would write all these things, you know, so it's an evolutionary process. Everything that we do.
It's an evolutionary process.
You know, so definitely congrats on that move.
Thank you.
That's
much
beautiful.
Appreciated.
Yeah, that's beautiful for sure. You know, and I know that it's just going to even get greater. But now, is there a limit of, because someone had said that you're only doing like a limit. So is there a limit of these documents that you're doing, or you still don't know?
A limit as how many I'm going to sell? Is that what they're saying?
Yes.
Well, you know, that's a difficult question, because I'll say about 2 months ago, I had like this kind of dream, and something just told me that I should only sell 144,000 of them first. I don't know what that was all about, but it was pretty intense. So I'm thinking, I don't know what is to come after I sell 144,000 of these travel documents. But I guess I have to go with that number first.
And then
But
see
we
after
do
that.
have, right, we have so many indigenous people on the land that sky's the limit. And also we have the travel document. I have the Moorish non-national travel document for those that are not Moors, that are domiciled at the land, that want to cut themselves off from the corporation,
Someone
along
did
with
ask
the
about that. Okay.
and then the naturalization process from the Moorish American consulate, right? So I have those combined, and I didn't bring that booklet, but it's a blue green. If you go on my Instagram site, you'll see that it's a blue green booklet, and people have been using that with great success. Someone told me 2 weeks ago they used it, and they showed their parole officer, and he didn't even want to come in their house. He's like, just have a good day. He just showed him the blue green booklet, and he looked at it inside, and he was like, okay, just have a good day. He's like, you sure you don't want to come in? He's like, no, I don't. I'm good. So, and also, yeah, we've had someone actually come in from Mexico into the United States cleared through the United States with also the green one, the Moorish non-national travel document. Right, did it twice. Right.
Wow. That's big because a lot of us, you know,
Let's see.
we're mixed. You know, a lot of us are mixed with different, you know, nationalities or whatnot. So we do have families that maybe from, you know, different parts of the world, and you know, they're not,
Absolutely.
you know, they wouldn't necessarily consider themselves for whatever reason, you know. So it's like it is good to know that even our family members who are abroad, you know, can have an option, you know, to have it. Because remember, you said something earlier. It's like it's even the point of just having it. You know, just having it is important. You know, so it's like you
Right.
don't want to be caught without it. You know, like there's so many times that you know, you use it in certain things in life. It's like, damn, you don't want to be caught without it. You know, and this is definitely one of those things that you don't want to be caught without it. You know, because
You
it's
don't want
like
to be caught without it.
yeah, it can definitely possibly even save your life, like you said. You know, so even showing this certain type of passport can get you in certain situations or out of it. You know, so
Right.
that is
For example, the Mat D is way better than a passport. Why? Because of what's in it. And I always tell the Moors to read it from the back first to the front. Don't start with your ID page, because most people look at their ID page. Oh yeah, I look pretty fly, you know, and just put it down. Yeah, look at me. Yeah, I'm all fizzed up, you know. And then they throw it to the side. Start from the back and read it toward the front, so that you know everything that's inside of this booklet. And why do I say that? Because so many people, Moors have gotten the Mat D. And then they say, oh, you know what? I got to get a vaccination exemption card.
Oh, speak on that, please, because I saw your video on that. I loved it too. Speak on that.
I'm like, what? So I'm like, all of these Moors are talking about, yeah, man, we got the new vaccine exemption card, you know, vaccine exemption. And I'm like, golly, these Moors are confused. Hold on, wait a minute. Because are non-tax obligatory. We're not tax exempt.
And it's all about the money. It's all about the money.
Yes, but
this process for them is it's a little more than that too, but it's definitely a part to do with money, because a lot of times you got to pay for certain things, you know. So go ahead.
Absolutely. Now think of this. In order to be exempt from something, that means that you have to be a part of first, right? You have to be a part of something or associated with something in order to get permission to not participate, right? So now you have Moors that have already put in their nationality documents and stuff, and they've already put the corporation on notice. We're not part of you. You know, we are all, you know, we are all stuff. We flexing over here. You know? Then they come back and say, damn, we need vaccine exemption cards. And it's like, it's not Moorish vaccine exemption. It's Moorish vaccine non-obligation. We're not obligated to take any of their vaccines. And why are we obligated? First of all, we're a different nation, right? Second of all, if you look in this book, the Matt D, you go to the treaties. You go to Article 21 in this booklet. And what does it say? It tells you Moors, it says, do not kill or wound a Moor. The United States cannot kill or wound a Moor, right? An injection creates a wound. They can't stick you. It's a wound. You see? So that's why I tell Moors, you know, you all have to really start thinking, put on your thinking caps, and then you'll understand, you know, how deep this thing is. You got to just read and study. Right. And once you know that, you'd be like, man, they can't force a vaccine on me. See, it's right here. Article 21.
Stop sipping that
Article 21.
Get right with yourself. Get right with yourself first. Yeah.
They talk about vaccine. Here, Article 21. Here's my travel document says that I'm not supposed to get a vaccine. Right. And I actually had a Moor tell me that they put their company on notice with the Matt D in regards to vaccination. They was like, okay, you're the only one that don't need it. They told them, okay, you don't have to take the vaccine. You see?
Look at that.
Don't leave home without it.
Hey, don't be caught without it, you know, type of thing.
Right.
So, all right, so
make sure you get your badge too.
Wait, I didn't see that. Wait, what?
She said, I didn't see that.
Wait.
Yeah, I got the free Moor badges too, but this is my consular badge right here. But they look the same. It just has free Moor at the top, you know. It's going on, you know, just kind of flex with it like that.
Do you travel with that?
I travel with it on my hip. I keep it with me sometimes.
Okay.
You know? It's my consular badge, so it's set up like that. And I sell these, but I sell them and it has free Moor on the top. So some of the Moors, they're aware of it. Then you can take this here. You can put the chain inside like this. Inside the pocket like that if you want. And then you just put it on your hip. You know? It's like that. So yeah, they don't know who you are when you're rocking it like that.
Right.
They're like, who is this dude? You know?
Right. That's like, so, you know, I have a cousin who her husband is a police officer, so she gets like a badge, and it's like anytime she gets pulled over, she opens her wallet, and it's like, you know, they see the badge, and they're like, oh, all right, you know, have a good day, type of thing, you know.
Right,
but that holds a lot of symbolism, you know, in their world as well. So, yeah, I like that.
That's absolutely right. Another question. Let's see. Yeah. How do you go about proclaiming your nationality as far as work? Oh, you start on my website pretty soon. Like I said, it'll be up in a few days. MoorishAmericanTravelDocument.com. .org, not .com. And also, I'll have another one, yourmattd.org. Right? So YOURMATD.org and MoorishAmericanTravelDocument.org. O-R-G.
Oh, okay. So one more question, and I would love to answer everybody's questions. You know, I have not answered so many questions, but I'm sure a lot of y'all are going to go on his page and start to order these documents and get more information. Don't just order a document without, you know, actually learning the information and learning how to even assert it, you know, because we can oftentimes get in these contracts, verbal contracts, oral contracts, you know, by what we say, what we agree
contracts.
Right.
Right.
And not only that, also how we sign, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot of things. And then I know that you said something about even like, I
Mm-hmm.
think I saw something about colors, like
Mm-hmm.
on your, let me see, hold on. It's on here somewhere. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so it's like certain colors, like to do the signatures in or whatnot, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So even those things are important to know and learn,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So don't just be
Mm-hmm.
out here going, you know, half naked, you know,
Right.
into these certain situations or circumstances because you're gonna get caught up, you know. So don't just think, oh yeah, I have this and that's that. Yeah, sometimes it does work, but sometimes some people will want
Mm-hmm.
to try you and test you. You know, the game will test you. Do not fold, and you cannot fold if you know how the game goes. You know, so
Right.
so this is the last
Right.
question we're going to take, and it says, can you
Mm-hmm.
explain the MATD for a minor? What if it's, you know, a child, they want to get this for a child, and are they able to do that as well if they want to do it for their child?
I make Matt D's for children every day,
Okay.
every single day. The only requirement is that the mother or the father must provide their autograph in place of their child's autograph. That's it. And the reason that autograph is put on the child's Matt D is because, as you know, a lot of our children and stuff are getting snatched up and all of that, right? It's just to prove who the true parents are, so that someone is not just getting a travel document for a child that's not theirs, right? So that's required.
Okay.
So the same process.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know,
Absolutely.
Mansa Musa says, you can't be secured in a corporation. So this is
Mm-hmm.
something that you know, we have to keep notice. Like, you know, these words, they're kind of like oxymorons,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes. And it's like, we definitely do have to be mindful of that. And
Absolutely.
slowly but surely, you're going to get into the light. Don't doubt
Mm-hmm.
yourself. You know, you definitely have to believe in yourself. And then you have to go and put out that demonstration. Shoot, some
Right.
of us, so honestly, some of us for putting demonstrations, yeah, we do get, you know, kidnapped, you know, by these debt collectors and things
Mm-hmm.
of that nature, you know. So it's like, it is important to go ahead and have certain
Mm-hmm.
things on in the four corners, you know, that can cover you or that
Right.
can
The
help
four
you.
corners.
Yeah, you see?
Right.
You see, I'm learning. It's all about learning, you
It's
know?
well. Really, it's just just opening the third eye a little bit. Just like even with the colors you were just talking about, right? Autographing in red. Why do we do that? Why do sometimes we autograph in blue? Right.
Right.
Well,
Commerce.
when you
Robert and
autograph,
commerce.
right, you autograph in blue when you're dealing with commerce, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, you autograph in red, being that you are flesh and blood from
A
the
living
land.
yes, exactly.
So now you have land and then you have sea, right? Now, why do I autograph in purple sometimes? Because purple means that you're a sovereign on land and sea. That is the color of royalty. That's 360. So you have 360 degrees that's on red, and then you have 360 degrees that's on sea, that's on blue.
Mm-hmm.
Blue and red mixed together is purple.
Purple.
Royalty, that means
Royalty.
sovereignty on both land and sea. That's all it
Gems.
is.
Did y'all get some gems tonight? Please drop some gems. Drop some feathers.
Drop some gems, no feathers. Drop some
Drop some
gems.
gems. Drop some feathers on the chat, in the chat. You can
Drop some
definitely
feathers on the chat.
listen, we give thanks for your energy this morning and my nights, you know, our nights. A lot of us are still on nighttime. You're over there on the morning time, you know, grand rising time. I mean to say,
Oh,
you know,
yeah, it's Grand Rising.
it's a
Yeah.
grand rising times, you know, in the morning over
Oh,
here.
yeah.
You know, so we do give thanks for your energy, those that came, supported, those that showed love, that weren't on no destruction, you know, because we do get those little trolls here and there, or people that, you know, I guess
Yeah.
that's the energy, you know, that's what they're
Right.
vibrating on, you know. So we do give thanks for those who came through and build with us. This is all about nation building, and we do have to at the same time build with other nations and other clans, you know.
Right, right, right,
What else
right.
did we learn today? You know, so this is all that it's about, because at the end of the day, that's what they're doing. You know, these different states and these different, you know, corporations, that's what they're doing every day. They're trading, you know, exchanging. So this is something that we have to learn how to do with our neighbors, with our brothers and sisters, you know. So
Right.
stop the whole trying to divide here, divide there, you know, because at the end of the day, everyone
Right.
serves a purpose, everyone has a mission, and everyone at the same
Everyone
time
has it.
is going to have a different perspective. But at the end of the day, what resonates with you,
Mm-hmm.
who you are, where you're going, where you come from. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so let's get it together. We give thanks for you again. His page is pinned on the chat. It says Baylor
Mm-hmm.
Bay Royal. Y'all can check him on his
Mm-hmm.
Instagram. He does have his website coming out real
Mm-hmm.
soon. Get his
Mm-hmm.
Moorish American travel documents. Like, it's really not
Mm-hmm.
that hard, and he's about to simplify it for you all even more. So we
Uh-huh.
do give thanks. You know, I threw that more in, so
You're
he's gonna
right.
simplify it for all Moors. You know, and yeah,
Yeah. And I appreciate you for having me here,
give thanks
Elisa Ali. Much gratitude. And, you know, let's just continue to work together
for
and
sure.
build together. And the Moors just need to know that, you know, the people over here, they're really ready for us to rise. You know, it's just like when the Chinese, when they see me doing stuff and, you know, making certain products and stuff like that, they be like, Jayo. Jayo means like,
Jayo.
you know, go ahead. Jayo.
Jayo.
Like, you know, it's time. Yeah, it's time for you all to get your stuff back. You know, so they make comments in the forums over here about our people, you know, regaining, you know, what is theirs. You know, they're tired of you know, the hybrid Albion corporate government over there and things, and they just know that it's just time for a change. So they stand behind what I'm doing 100%. And that's part of my success is that, you know, like Noble Drew Ali said, your brothers from the East are going to have to help you, right? So he prophesied it, and here I am with some of the other people that's behind me, helping me to make these products for the Moors. And, you know, I'm just looking forward to making sure that it continues. And much gratitude again, Noble. And, you know, we got to do this again sometimes. And
Absolutely.
when you get into my email, just remind me that I was on your show, and like I said, I got one on the house for you. All right.
Give thanks. Y'all go support, you know, this movement for sure. And like you said, come get your stuff back. You know what I mean? Get your stuff back.
Get your stuff back.
And at the same time, there's you know, different things, different everything. But at the end of the day, do what works for you. You know, and
Yes.
don't try to do too much at one time, because you will get confused. You will definitely get confused.
Slow down.
And start.
I'm going to tell the viewers this right quick. I'm going to give you a key. One of the most powerful documents that you can read is 45 pages long. 4 + 5 is 9. That's what I'm telling you this. All right. It's called Life, Law, and the UCC. You can Google it, PDF. It has the 10 law maxims. Read it at least 5 times, and you'll be clear on a whole lot of stuff when it comes to affidavits and all of that. Life, Law, and the UCC. Right? It's going to change you. Trust me. You're gonna walk away from reading this document. You know, it's going to take some cobwebs off your brains. All right.
Right. Well, we give thanks. I'm just going to go ahead and say some announcements, so you can definitely, you know, you can get up out of here. It's no problem.
All right.
We give thanks for everything that you're doing, and
all right. Peace, Nobles. Peace and love.
All right. So I know that you all were pleased with this live. Everyone kept talking about it. So we give thanks, and we are going to continue to build with many others out there who are building and are providing solutions to our people, because that's what it's all about. Now, you all know I'm with Asa of Law Master. I am Asa Ali. This is Mindful Mondays. We have